Bet the Breeders' Cup with the DRF app. The Daily Racing Form app is a highly rated, powerful tool that makes handicapping and wagering fast and easy, putting you in position to win big at the races. Register today to double your first deposit up to $250. Get the DRF app now. Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off the Pick 4 on Breeders' Cup Friday, the late Pick 4, full of Breeders' Cup races. And we start things off with race number 7, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, a Grade 1, $1 million is the purse. Let's throw up the field. It's a big field. We've got a tepid morning line favorite. This just looks like a wide open, great betting race, Mike.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it too. It feels like there are a lot of really good horses in here. The Europeans are very well represented, Dan. I think they sent over some good horses too. So I'm really looking forward to this race.
Now, we won't have a Timeform U.S. pace projector for you in this race because of the plethora of European horses, but I guess the 7 Fire at Will could try to make the lead again. He fairly well stole the Pilgrim last time out a door, stretching out, can show some speed, as can Gretzky the Great, but there are some Europeans in here with tactical speed as well. It's going to be very difficult to actually predict this pace.
Yeah, listen, going a mile on this turf course with a big field like this, trips are going to be very important. So, we'll see how aggressive some of these riders get. I do think getting forward could really be to someone's advantage in here, though.
Great post position for the 1 Seal Away, who has won 2 of his last 3 starts in blowout fashion. Let's watch this Group 1. Prix Jean-Luc Lagardère. This is extremely heavy ground, and maybe he just relished it more than his opponents, but you see him on the outside in the yellow cap. He's taking over the lead right now, going into the final furlong, and he's just too good for this field. Watch him accelerate, and he wins by about 8. Very impressive performance, Mike. Was it the ground, or is this just a good colt getting good at the right time?
It could be a little bit of both. I feel like the ground probably had something to do with that because he just stretched away from that field, just in the last furlong or so. I don't want to knock him too hard because I personally feel like he's run well in all of his races. But he does have the 2 blowout wins recently. And I just feel like, both of those races, you could feel like maybe he took advantage a little bit. We just saw that one over the heavy ground. And then the 1-3 back, where it just felt like that was the right class relief. And he just had that field over a barrel and just, they just couldn't keep up with him through the stretch. In between those two, not that he ran poorly at all in that Group 3, but to me, Go Atletico, who's also back in this race, was clearly superior to him. So I feel like this horse does have some improvement. He's got a great post, though.
I think New Mandate's very interesting for Frankie Dettori and trainer Ralph Beckett, coming in here off 3 consecutive wins, including the Group 2 Royal Lodge. And that Royal Lodge looks like a solid race. The runner-up came back to be second in a listed. The 4th horse came back to win a Group 1 in France. New Mandate doesn't look like one of those typical European plodding closers. It looks like he has some tactical speed. I think Frankie will work out a trip, and this horse, if he gets clear, should come running late at a price.
Yeah, I agree. I like the way that he's really improving from race to race. And, as far as I can tell, Dan, his most recent win, that Group 2, is the best race he's ever run. I really like the run that he put in to win that race. And so I feel like they're coming over here with a hot horse. He's another horse who got a great post on the inside. It just feels like there's a lot to like about him.
And I like the trainer Brad Cox is putting blinkers on the 3 Abarda, a horse that probably needs to get into the race just a little bit earlier. Didn't think he had the greatest trip in the Bourbon, although that was a closer's race. They ran 1-2 from the back of the pack. Abarda kind of got shuffled a bit back to last in upper stretch and kind of lost maybe a little bit of his tactical advantage as the winner swung widest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if I want to say that he might have won that race had he gotten clear. I suppose that's possible. Both he and the winner, though, ran fine. I felt like they had the run of the race. They made the last runs, and those were the best runs. They both ran fine. I found it hard to love either one of these 2 horses.
Public sector goes out for Chad Brown, who we know does very, very well with these 2-year-old Breeders' Cup turf races. I liked his debut at Saratoga. He kind of got bumped out of the gate, but he was very professional, sitting in mid-pack, split horses 4 wide, turning for home, and was on his way. And last time out in the Pilgrim, he was just simply pace compromised as Fire at Will went right to the front and backed it down to a crawl.
Yeah, that was the story. The Pilgrim, the pace was the whole story there in a short field, and Fire at Will got the right ride. And Fire at Will ran a fine race that day, but it felt like he took advantage. And I did think Public Sector was compromised by the way that race was run. Like you, I thought his debut was very impressive. I don't think that was, the strongest Saratoga maiden turf race we've ever seen. But I like the way that this horse won it. I think this horse has plenty of talent. I think he has even more upside. And Chad Brown at a fair price in this race, that's very interesting.
Cadillac, the number 5, another horse coming in from overseas. Always been a little bit of buzz about this horse, and he didn't disappoint in his debut. He won off by about 9 lengths that day. And I liked his win 2 starts back in a Group 2 over Van Gogh, who is now a Group 1 stakes winner. Last time out, I wonder if the combination of the soft ground and the cutback to 7 furlongs worked against him, because he really seemed to look comfortable on firmer ground going a mile 2 back. I'm not willing to give up on him, although in that last race, he just seemed to lack a little bit of punch.
Yeah, I wonder if that the soft turf in combination with the slight cutback, I wonder if that's enough of an excuse, Dan. I guess I could buy into it. That was, the first time they jumped him up to a Group 1. And, at the end of the day, he really didn't come close to being competitive in there. I didn't love that race for him, especially when you compare it to the first 3, because he looked really good to me in the first 3. He's a very handy kind of horse. I expect him to get forward and get a good trip in this race. And then we'll see. I'm going to wait and see what kind of price he goes off at. I don't want this horse at too short of a price, and I think he could get bet in here, but I do think he has some real talent.
Mutasabek was an impressive debut winner on the dirt at Saratoga. Todd Pletcher was not shy about testing him in the hopeful against Jackie's Warrior and Reinvestment Risk. He was well beaten that day. Todd said, we might have a grass horse. He might. Let's watch the Grade 2 Bourbon, his turf debut at Keeneland. This pace completely fell apart. He's on the far outside right now coming from last. You're going to see a Barda have to switch out, and he's going to end up following Mutasabek to come with a late run for second. But the story of this race was the pace fell apart, not to take anything away from Mutasabek, who fired his best shot.
Yeah, he really did. They took him right back from the start of the race. He came wide to the stretch, as you saw there in the replay, and he charged down the outside to run that field over. He was very impressive winning first time out on dirt at Saratoga. So you know that he has talent, and he's obviously a well-bred horse for top connections. There are things to like about him. The 5-1 to me on the morning line's a joke. I don't think you could ever take that kind of price on him against this field, but maybe he'll drift.
He likes Keeneland. Maybe that's why he's one of the favorites in here with Pletcher. But you're right. I think this is a race where you have to try to find at least a little bit of value. The 7 Fire at Will is 12-1 on the morning line. Now, the last race, the Bourbon, was a closer's race. Not so the Pilgrim. Let's watch this one. Fire at Will got away with an opening half mile in 50-1, 3/4 in 1:15 over firm ground. Of course he's going to sprint home like this. Public Sector, I think, was taken off the rail at a key point to get to the outside, Mike. I don't think it really would have made a difference. He's trying very hard, but you just can't overcome this pace advantage that the winner had.
No, you can't, especially when the horse that, got loose on such a slow pace actually has some talent. I mean, that's a really tough combination to overcome. I thought Public Sector ran well to be second. Fire at Will, yes, he took advantage to win that race. But listen, the only other turf race was his debut. And that's a race that he has big excuses for. He ran a lot better than it looks, finishing 6th in that race. This horse is okay.
Step Dancer, the 3rd place finisher from the Pilgrim. He's already franked the form. He came back to win the Awad the other day with an 83 Beyer speed figure. Out of door, 2 for 2 for Wesley Ward. Now he's going to stretch out in distance, but this 6.5 furlongs at Kentucky Downs, I think it plays a little bit longer, closer to a mile. Let's watch Out of door win the Juvenile Turf Sprint. This is very soft going. Testing going, and Out of door on the outside was able to stay close to the lead. He turned 4 wide into the stretch, and he's able to get this done with a rock-solid 85 Beyer speed figure. I have a feeling he can stretch out to a mile. I think his tactical speed is going to put him in a good position here for Ward. And listen, 8-1 Jose Ortiz, Wesley Ward, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I wouldn't, be too strongly against this horse. Now, can't say that I love him, Dan, and at the right price. I'm not going to, argue with anybody who says they do like him. I think he's run well in both of his starts. He fairly dominated that Kentucky Downs race last time, handling the soft ground, and he has tactical speed.
Battleground, the number 9, goes out for the all-world combination of Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien, off 2 victories in a row. Now, this horse was going to compete in a subsequent race overseas, got sick, so he's coming into this race off a summer layoff. I don't know, Mike. I thought he looked good in his last race. I just don't know what he was beating.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what kind of fields he's been running against. I I actually like all three of his races, Dan. I think you could tell when they debuted him sprinting 6 furlongs that he just needed that race. I thought it was a very useful and better than it looks performance for this horse. And he's obviously improved in his last 2 starts. I mean, I thought he won those 2 races very easily. And I believe that he's a dangerous horse in this race. I do feel like when I watch his last 2, however, they got him into the clear and got him going very early in those races and made him carry his run a pretty long way. So I wonder if that could work against him as they ship him over here and try 2 turns for the first time. He feels like the kind of horse who's going to need a clean trip to get it done in here. But I won't be surprised if he can do it. I think this horse is good.
The 10 Ebico has done little wrong since shipping in from Ireland, 2 starts in North America, a stakes placing, and then this victory in the Zuma Beach, going a mile at Santa Anita. We see Ebico on the outside, gray silks, white halter, and he's going to just grind this one out on the outside. Now, this race did come back slow, a 67 Beyer speed figure. He's going to have to do a lot better, but he's game. It's also one of those blanket finishes.
Yeah, he was very game. As you correctly pointed out, though, his 2 starts since they've shipped him over here, they just haven't been fast. He's run fine both times. They just haven't been fast races, so it feels like he's in very tough against this field. And it's also, at least worth mentioning that in his second career start over in Ireland, he got blown off the track by Cadillac.
Gretzky, the great, the number 11, won the Grade 1 Summer at Woodbine last time, going a 1-turn mile. He'll go 2 turns for the first time on Friday, but his tactical speed should have him in a good spot. Let's watch the Summer Stakes, where he just pushed himself off of the early leader. Attacks on the outside, is going to go by this horse and win in professional fashion. I think it was a likable race with a respectable Beyer speed figure, but when you look in Formulator, 4 horses have come back to run out of this race. None have hit the board with the best Beyer of 46. I wonder what he was beating.
Yeah, he's a Grade 1 winner already, but he's stepping way up in class here against this field. But you're right to point out, though, that he does have really good tactical speed, so maybe he can get the right trip from post 11. And listen, at the end of the day, he's run well in all 4 of his starts.
Isn't the 12 Go Atletico just a sleeper despite this outside post position? I mean, he finished ahead of Seal Away in that stake 3-back. Then he beat Seal Away in the Prix La Rochette 2-back. And last time out, he just missed going 6 furlongs. There are questions, obviously, about distance for this horse, but maybe they can just tuck in, hope this pace is fast, and come with a kick.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of trip he can get. He did look pretty handy to me over there, so I'm hoping that he can get a good one from post 12. He was the European that I was, just most interested in with the combination of he should be a good price, and I just think he's run well in all of his races, Dan. I really like his form. He's a gelding. So they didn't really have Group 1 options with him over there. I think that's most of the reason why they're here to run in this race. And I think it makes perfect sense. This horse, to me, he looks pretty good.
Devil Wallow, the 13, was dismissed at 100-1 in the Group 1 Darley Dewhurst, and he actually finished ahead of Cadillac in that race. He showed good speed that day and basically set the pace down towards the inside. He never looked like a winner from about 2.5 furlongs out, but he stayed on well enough to be 4th. I just don't think that trip is available to him here from this far outside post. In looking at him, he's a very likable horse, but maybe it's a reason to kind of go against Cadillac that he couldn't pass 100-1 shot in the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And he was contesting the pace in that race, and maybe ultimately that's enough of an excuse. But, man, he's got a very tough post position here, and it just feels like he's going to have to improve to beat these horses.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, kicking off the late pick 4 at Keeneland on Friday. Public sector, Chad Brown, nice price on the morning line. This horse has a lot of upside potential. He was compromised by the lack of pace last time out. I think he's going to get covered up, and if he gets the right trip, he'll be running late.
That's exactly how we looked at him. I just felt like he might be an okay price. We'll see how they bet it. The 12 and the 9 are the 2 euros that I wanted, but I'm going to stick with the Americans here. I think public sector might be better than he looks on paper.
We're going with 8 different horses. That's how wide open this race is. And we don't have the morning line favorite, the 6 Muta Sabek, in there anyway, which means Todd gets another Breeders' Cup win. But Cadillac is where I'm going to go. I'm going to forgive the last race, and maybe I'm being a little bit too forgiving. I think it was the combination of the ground and the cutback. And like you, I was really taken by his first 3 races. I think he can be handy. 4-12-9-7 for Mike, 5-1-13-2 for me. Watch out for the 6, Muta Sabek, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. It's a Grade 1, and it kicks off the pick 4 on Friday. Best of luck. Bet the Breeders' Cup with the DRF app. The Daily Racing Form app is a highly rated, powerful tool that makes handicapping and wagering fast and easy, putting you in position to win big at the races. Register today to double your first deposit up to $250. Get the DRF app now.